Hi, today from Sri Lanka, from Colombo. Behind me you can see the Gagarayama temple. Today we'll be talking about agriculture in the second part of our series where we debunk the green policies, the sustainable agriculture, the Green Deal. You will find out more after a short break. Hi again from Sri Lanka, from Colombo. The Green Deal is rolling out globally. The globalist agenda is coming to you in your country, more or less, depending in which part of the world you are. If you are in the EU or if you are in the, let's say, Western countries, green agenda is coming to get you, more or less. And you can see the future of your country here in Sri Lanka pretty well. What happened in Sri Lanka? In Sri Lanka in 2021, the president of the country needed to get money from the World Bank or from the International Monetary Fund, and he generally sold his soul for the money, and as exchange he promised to introduce sustainable agriculture here in Sri Lanka. Sustainable organic agriculture. You need to know, in Sri Lanka 50 million people out of 22 million people are dependent directly or indirectly on agriculture. This is a major industry branch here. Also tourism is an important industry in Sri Lanka, but agriculture is very strong. And you have to know that Sri Lanka has the best conditions for agriculture in the world, one of the best in the world that you can imagine. You have great soil, you have great climate, very warm, constant climate, a lot of moisture, a lot of rain, and depending on the type of the crop, you can harvest several times a year, one or more times a year. And you have perfect geographic location because you are on the trade route between Asia and Middle East, Asia, Africa, or Asia, Europe through the Suez Canal. So you can put your produce very cheaply, very efficiently on the world market. But there was this, let's say, socialist or communist president, and you need to know Sri Lanka is officially called the Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. So he came to power and he needed money from the IMF. So he promised to introduce green agriculture here, the sustainable, the so-called the great sustainable agriculture, and the organic agriculture to get as high ESG rate as possible. And indeed, he introduced a lot of reforms. The most striking or the most important one was the ban on the synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. A total ban of usage and of import. That was introduced in 2 years ago, roughly in 2021, in May 2021. And you need to know that 90% of farmers in Sri Lanka use synthetic fertilizers, pesticides. So it is Sri Lanka is very dependent on it's very traditional agriculture, and you also know that traditional agriculture is highly technologized and it's just efficient. But as the saying goes, if the government takes care of economy, even in Sahara, you will run out of sand. what happened in Sri Lanka, already the next harvest fell extremely low. The output fell by, depending on the branch of the industry, of the agriculture, as low as 50%. Some farmers suffered a loss in harvest of 90%. 90% of crops were lost for some farmers. Sri Lanka, being just several months earlier a self-sustainable country, which was able to export a lot of produce, agricultural produce, would need or needed to import a lot of food from outside, but they didn't have money for that. So people started to hunger, to starve. There was a famine and misery, and people went to streets, stormed the presidential palace, and the president needed to flee the country and then to abdicate, to give up his rule. And the next rulers, the next government partly reverted the reforms, and Sri Lanka, from being, let's say, the perfect student of globalism, the AAA student with an ESG rate of 98.1, fell down to 49 something last time I checked. So it fell down below 50%. So the president, when he introduced the reforms, the ban on stuff, he went to Davos, to WEF, to World Economic Forum, and he bragged about Sri Lanka being the first country that introduced the green agriculture, the organic agriculture to 100%. 100% of our industry, agricultural industry, is green, is sustainable, and we will become rich as we were, in the Middle Ages, when Ceylon was the synonym of paradise. We will become rich again by 2025. So in 4 years, he planned to be, the rich country here in the, let's say, South Asia. But what happened was, only 1 year later, it was hunger. The economy broke down due to his reforms, due to these utopian green ideas, and people drove him out from the government, from his country, and he had to give up, and the reforms had to be reverted. And this is the future of Europe. This hunger, this misery will happen in Europe if people don't come to the mines, or this will happen with any country that will mindlessly follow this green agenda. Because people don't realize that in order to feed 8 billion people in the world, you need to have highly technological agriculture as we have today. The modern agriculture is highly technological one, and synthetic fertilizers, pesticides play a great role in that. You can sustain that. We have multiple the output of crops per square mile, per square kilometers, many times for the last 100 years. And we need that efficiency, we need that productivity in order to feed the population of the world. And it is only possible with synthetic fertilizers and with pesticides. If you don't use that, in comparison, the best you can do with sustainable agriculture is to have the same output. You need twice as much land for agriculture. Which means, if you do instead of doing the, let's say, sustainable agriculture, you do the traditional, the modern agriculture, you spare one half of the land, and you can put a forest on that land, or you can put reservation, natural reservation. You can make on that land the nature flourish, be completely independent, live on its own, and the other half you use for the agriculture. With sustainable agriculture, you need all of that. You can't do any forest, any reserve on that land, because you need all of that for the crops, right? So what is better? In some cases, or in many cases, actually the traditional agriculture, the modern agriculture is much better for the environment than the so-called green or so-called sustainable agriculture that isn't sustainable at all, as you see in Sri Lanka. In some countries, such as Netherlands, they already say they will have to reduce the agriculture by 50%. So 50% of farms will be affected, will need to be either eliminated or severely restricted in the actions in order to meet the ESG goals that Netherlands put on themselves. And so there are already protests and strikes of farmers in Netherlands, but it will come, and there were protests and strikes here as well, but they weren't heard until the hunger, the famine, and the misery came. And then the rulers were forced to change the agenda. This will happen as well in Europe. I hope people will come to their minds earlier, but this is how it works. So at the end, the sustainable agriculture, the organic agriculture isn't sustainable at all. It causes misery, it causes social unrest, it causes economic problems, and so the rate of Sri Lanka fell down from 98, the ESG rate of Sri Lanka fell down from 98.1 to 49 point something the last time I checked. But the people are happier, the economy is working, and they don't suffer hunger. So you can choose, either you want to follow some crazy ideas and be poor and suffer hunger and spoil your environment, or you can make your economy work and the system will regulate itself as it did in the past. So leave a comment below. What do you think about sustainable agriculture versus traditional technological agriculture? I hope you like this video. If yes, give me a thumb up. If not, of course, thumb now, subscribe if you haven't. Share this video with your loved ones, with your friends. One day they will thank you for that. I talk here a lot about business, about economy, about how the best entrepreneurs in our life, the self-made billionaires of our times, think and act. I talk about money, sometimes about cryptocurrency, so if you like this video, you will certainly like my other videos. I invite you to watch them. That's it for today from Sri Lanka. I wish you a fantastic day. Let's do something extraordinary today.